Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Imagine being able to access all the services and all the information for the city of LA in the palm of your hand. We don't have to imagine because it actually exists. My LA 311. And here to tell us all about it, I'm delighted to be joined by the director, Donna Arrechea, LA 311. So nice to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Really cool app.
Yeah, and helpful too.
Extremely helpful. Okay, so let's sort of get to the basics. You know, we all of a certain age remember 411 information, 911 of course emergencies, 311 specific to Los Angeles. What exactly is that? What is My LA 311?
Well, My LA 311 is actually a group of services. It includes the 311 call center, which you can reach by dialing a 3-digit number, 311, just like you call the police department by dialing 911. So it's easy and simple to remember. And it also includes the My LA 311 mobile app, which is available for free on the various app stores, and a website. And the website is myla311 at .lacity.org.
Right.
So regardless of which way you like to communicate with us, you've got those options. And of course, they can email us at 311 at lacity.org. But we're here to help. And the idea of the app is to allow people when they're out in public spaces to, and they see a problem like a pothole or a cracked sidewalk or a street light that's not working, they can even take pictures of it and send it to us with their GPS location or by putting in the closest address. And it'll go straight to a crew and somebody will come out and take care of it.
You know, you just mentioned a couple things, but it's an enormous scope of what is available. But let's go ahead and talk about what are the ones that are the most common that people normally reach out for 311 for.
Right. The most common services for 311 is service request intake of things like dumping, potholes, graffiti, reporting graffiti, bulky item pickup appointments is a very popular service for sanitation customers, reporting homeless encampments, things like that, park maintenance, animal services, and a variety of other services are available through the app or by calling 311.
Do you take responsibility for the service call? Because I was thinking about that. You know, someone could be driving around and see something and want someone to take care of it. Are then those persons that report, are they responsible to say, I want all the graffiti off the 4th Street Bridge to be removed? I mean, how does that work? Do you have to have some sort of attachment or tie to whatever issue you're calling and or putting a service call in the app about?
Well, you don't have to have an attachment with it. You don't have to have pictures, but we do need a location because a crew can't come out without the location. But once we have that and it goes into the system, the departments are on the same system, and so it immediately gets assigned based on the geographic location to a specific yard, maybe a graffiti contractor or a crew that handles that area. And depending on what their schedule is, they come out as soon as they can.
Do they let you know that something's been done?
Yeah, actually, after the service request is completed, if the customer has provided an email address, they'll actually receive an email that says your request has been completed.
Wow, and I would imagine that there would be some crossover from some certain calls, because if everybody's, hitting the same pothole in the same street at the same time, I would imagine that there would also be multiple calls on one particular issue.
That's right. And the way the system works is if there is another service request of the same type already open within 100 feet of an existing request, it'll let you know. So when the agents at the 311 call center are taking the request, they'll see a pop-up of those other requests, and so they can ask the customer or let the customer know someone else has already reported that. But if you'd like, you can report it as well, and we can get your email address so that you get the notification when it's completed. But we'll still only send one service request to the department.
How many different LA services does 3-1? I mean, seriously, wasn't it like 1,200 or 1,500 or some unbelievable amount of services?
For the service request types, the things that require a crew to come out and do something, there's about 70 different service request types. But for information on city services and programs available and, you know, what the rules and guidelines are for dealing with the city, there's over 1,500 knowledge base articles that are part of the MyLA 311 system. So you can search by keywords what you're looking for, if you're looking for permits, if you're looking for who's your council person, if you'd like to know, you know, the address of the closest library or something like that and what their hours are. You can look all of that up in our system or give us a call at 311 and we'll give you the information.
That must be amazing to maintain, I would think, because the city of Los Angeles, you know, 4 million plus humans, and all of these services changes minute by minute. I mean, as we've been sitting here, I am sure 19,000 decisions have been made and a whole bunch of adjustments have been taken. So how often is the site updated?
Well, our 311 team is partly responsible for ensuring that the information is accurate, and we work with contacts in all the city's 40 different departments to see that that happens because they're the subject matter experts. If an error is brought to our attention or we find one when we're trying to assist a customer, we can actually click a button that says there's something wrong with this information and put a comment in. That will get sent directly to the department editor who's responsible so that they can update it. And of course, we do get calls about new things all the time that aren't yet in the system because there was a press release last night or something like that. So we try to keep up to date on those things too. And when it is something that needs to be added to the system, we reach out also to those departments to add new information for new services.
I'm sure for the last year there's been an enormous amount of information that you never dreamed that would be part of MyLA 311, because there was a lot involved with the COVID and all the pandemic resources as well as the current information.
That's right. The pandemic, you know, it came along very quickly. Everybody scrambled to get home. However, in us tracking COVID calls for the mayor's office and so forth, they wanted information. One of the good things about it is we can create the knowledge base articles on the fly. So if we need to, we can create the information very quickly. We can point to the different web pages that had all of the coronavirus information, where to go to get tested, how to make an appointment to get tested. Now it's about the vaccines. And other programs to help people recover from the economic downturn that was related. But that's one of the beauties of the system is because we can make adjustments quickly, we can share that information with the team and with the public just as soon as it's created and published.
This is not a new resource for the city of Los Angeles. However, it's become more robust as time has passed, and obviously it's become probably more easily available, accessible, and people are adaptable more because we're getting used to all of this. Why was it put together in the first place? It's got a pretty cool history.
Mm-hmm. Well, the 311 call center was the first thing that was put in place, and that was back in 2002. To give the public an easy way to reach the city and learn about city services and access it. I think they had done some kind of a study years ago that said the average person got transferred around to like 4 or 5 different departments before they got to the right place, because it can be very complicated to know who to call. And so with 311 coming along, we were able to triage, talk to the customers, find out more about what they were looking for, and then we could help them get to the specific place if we couldn't even answer the question ourselves. So now all of the city departments have websites, very robust websites. So we use their websites for information that we share with the public. And it evolved after the call center. Then we added the mobile app and then the web page. And like I said, now it reaches out to all those different departments real time and provides reports and things for the council offices so that they can see where the hot spots are for various types of services. So it has really added a lot to the city's ability to see what's happening all around the city.
I hadn't thought about that because it's a two-way street. The data that you receive from a click or someone utilizing the app must be unbelievably invaluable for a number of reasons, to see where people are the most concerned, to see where people are the most frustrated, to see where people have the most need.
Exactly. I mean, as an example, tree trimming. So the city trims city trees on a grid cycle, and so they get around to various areas every so many years. And one of the pieces of data that's very valuable on the system is when people start reporting, during windstorms that branches are blowing down or trees are falling. That's a clue for the forestry department that in this neighborhood it hasn't been trimmed for a while, and now we're starting to see some problems. It's time to get out there and trim.
So that also means if someone is hearing, listening, or watching, that this is a really good way for a light to be shown on their neighborhood, from a city perspective. So even if it's not necessarily a crisis, even if it's not necessarily emergency, just interacting with the site or interacting with the app would, hey, pay attention to me over here. We're
right.
dealing with things.
That's right. And on the mayor's open data portal, people can even look up their neighborhood and actually see the types of service requests that are common in their neighborhood. And if they don't see a lot of requests being put in, they go to their neighborhood council or get their volunteer buddies together or whatever and say, we're going to start reporting things and get our neighborhood cleaned up too. And that's what the service is there for.
Speaking of volunteering, there are some pretty cool programs that you can actually utilize through MyLA 311 if you, in fact, have a volunteer group. I mean, they're beyond just please come fix, please come remove.
Right.
There are some opportunities for volunteer groups to get resources that they need to. I was delighted and surprised to see that as part of it.
That's right. The Office of Community Beautification offers a service for people who want to do cleanup events in their neighborhood. And whether it's just focused on one particular street or one particular area, they can set you up and even supply some small, maybe hand tools or paint to clean up graffiti. And if it's if there's a lot of debris in the area, the sanitation department will help them out and supply like a dumpster. And there you go. You have your event on a Saturday morning. You get all the young people with muscles out there to, pull the tires out of the ditch and whatever's there and put it all in the dumpster. And there you go. It went from an eyesore to a lovely little spot, and all the volunteers can be proud of themselves that they did it.
Yeah, and there was a nice little article as part of it, and don't necessarily be discouraged if the first time round is slow moving, because this kind of attention and this kind of opportunity allows you to showcase that these things are happening in your neighborhood, and that the next time there'll be more and more people. There was a nice little personal touch of motivation as well.
That's right. Yeah. In fact, like some council districts have had contests with the schools in their district, maybe the middle schools or high schools, and have the kids competing for who can report the most valid issues and get their neighborhood cleaned up, and then they won a prize at the end. So not only they cleaned up their neighborhood, but they won a prize.
There are things, however, that 311 should not necessarily be the first route that you take. So what are some of the arenas that, it's a little like, if this is an emergency, call 911. So what are the things that people should immediately not use 311,
Right.
but immediately use 911?
Well, anything life-threatening emergency.
Okay.
So if someone's being attacked by a stray animal, or if you are just witnessed a car accident or something like that, you don't want to call 311. And if you do, we're going to transfer you right away to the police department. So those life-threatening emergencies that need immediate attention, go ahead and call 911. And typically, I would say for things that are police business, crime reports and things like that, and information about someone, a suspect or whatever, you want to tip, you provide a tip or something. But those types of things should go directly to the police department. There's probably also some things that you would go directly to LADWP, the Department of Water and Power, for your utility bill, because 311 can't really help you with that. But even if you do call 311, we offer on our front end a couple of options for those departments that we don't add a lot of value for you, so that you'll get directly there instead of waiting for us. And then we have to transfer you over there. So I would say primarily police department and DWP would be the two. But anything non-emergency or any kind of general information, call 311. Even the various departments, if they get a call from somebody and they have no clue where they should be sending that person, they transfer them to 311.
Good for them.
That's right.
They know where the resource is.
That's right.
But there is an interesting relationship with LADWP. I mean, if you have an LADWP online account, that can automatically be your account for the MyLA 311, and you can pay your bill as well, correct?
That's right. If you register your MyLA 311 and let them know that you have a DWP online account, it will link those two accounts so that you can actually access a few services on the MyLA 311 app that only paying residential sanitation service customers can use, such as that bulky item pickup. If you are a residential customer paying sanitation services, you can get as many of those bulky item pickups if you want. You can report one every week. If you have an old couch, if you have some old electronics, if you have an old mattress, put it out there by the curb on your regular trash day and make this appointment, and they'll come and pick it up. And those services are only available if you're a paying customer. Trash collection, that's another one. If they didn't pick up the trash that day, you can report the missed trash. And you can also do that by calling 311. But by linking your account, you can pay your utility bill online, and you can also take advantage of those services.
That's a godsend, because sometimes trying to get rid of that huge stuff that you can't do it. I mean, no one wants to pick it up or take it because it's not actually something that can be recycled or used by another nonprofit organization.
That's right.
All right, so then makes me think, is there a limit to how many requests you can put in through 311? I mean, is there any kind of, oh my gosh, there's Maria again.
No, there's really no limit. In fact, some customers, when they're out in the evening walking the dog or whatever, they'll be jotting down several locations of different problems, and then they'll call us up on the phone and report 10 different things at once. And if we get a call like that, we're usually jotting it down too, and then we'll put them all in the computer for them.
People obviously are concerned about their privacy. We have put a lot of our information out there on a number of accounts and sites and apps, etc. So what are the protections that one can feel confident in if they do in fact, get the MyLA 311 app or they register online? What are some of the safeguards?
Well, most of the service request types can be submitted anonymously.
Okay.
You don't have to provide your contact information for most of them. You don't have to provide your email or your name. There are a couple of departments that do require that, and we'll let you know when that happens and why they need the information. But the city's regular privacy policy that is accessible from the bottom of any of our web pages applies. The information that's in the MyLA 311 system in many cases gets requested as part of public records request,
Sure.
but any personal information such as names and contact information is redacted from them before it goes out. And if I were to submit a service request and then you went online and tried to look for my service request, whether it would be from the mayor's website or whatever, you'll only see the basic information about the request, what the problem was and where it was, not who reported it or any other details.
So the person that's reporting the barking dog is not going to be subject to the person who owns the barking dog knowing that they did it.
That's right.
Well, that's along those lines is we're all becoming substantially more tech savvy. So what are some of the benefits of actually having the app or doing it online versus the call center. And not to say that the call center isn't important and how great to have a human voice on the other end, but I would imagine from your vantage point, this is a more efficient route.
We do encourage self-service as much as possible. Many people in Los Angeles are tech savvy and they don't really want to call the call center. They don't want to wait on hold. They don't want to speak with someone. They really just want to quickly submit the request and go on their way. So those tech savvy people can do that very easily using the mobile app or the web page. However, there's another big segment of Los Angeles who maybe are not English speaking. There's a large senior community, there's a lot of low-income families, things like that, that may not have access to technology or smartphones. So that's one reason that the call center is there for them, to help them in those situations to submit service requests or to provide information.
How many languages, by the way, you have that people
we have access to an interpreting service, and so we can help people in over 150 different languages when they call.
Wow. Wow. What's the average amount of interactions? Because I would include both the online interactions as well as the verbal interactions. How big has 311 become?
Well, let's say this past year, I think we had 1.5 million phone calls, several 100,000 emails, and there were over 650,000 service requests submitted via the mobile app and the web page. So it's caught on very well with the people in Los Angeles, and those who use it tend to use it frequently.
When I downloaded the app, which took like 2 seconds, it asked me if I wanted notifications. So what kind of notifications would I receive if I in fact said yes? Would I get, emergency notifications? Would I get COVID notifications? What would I get?
You would likely to get those email responses about the service request that you submit.
So personal directly to me.
That's right, directly for you. You also may get notifications because one of the features of the mobile app is that you can see some of the main feeds from our social media accounts. The city has many social media accounts just like it has many websites, so every department has their own, but you'd see maybe the mayor's feed, the fire department feed, the police department feed, or the LA City feed, where there's a lot of new information being sent out there that might be of interest to you.
Very like front line, behind the scenes information. You
That's
don't have
right.
to sit around and wait for someone else to call through it.
That's right.
Okay, so is there a particular geographic boundary? I mean, I keep saying the city. So is there a geographic boundary of what you will be able to utilize and have?
Well, with regards to information, we can help anybody who calls. We get calls from people all around the world who maybe are coming to Los Angeles for some reason, or they have an elderly family member in Los Angeles and they're trying to find services for their family member or whatever. So we can help in that way. But with regards to the service requests where a crew has to come out, it is specifically around the geographic city limits of the city of Los Angeles, which is kind of the craziest looking city limits you can imagine, right? It has that long skinny corridor that goes down to Long Beach there. But in any case, our system actually has all of the city addresses built into the system. So if you're close to the border and you try to report something, our system will let us know that you're in Santa Monica. You have to call this another city hall for that. But if you're in our city limits, then we'll take the request and help you out.
You'll tell the person, though,
Yes.
that I'm sorry you're right on the border and we can't help you in this particular instance. This is not important, but it just made me think. It's the fact that you're getting calls from around the world. What's the most unusual thing you can remember somebody called to ask you about? Was it weather related, or was it, where should I stay in a hotel, or?
Well, we've actually had calls of people asking about, I'm coming to Los Angeles and I know somewhere there by City Hall there's a very well-known place to get a really good sandwich.
Oh, cool.
And do you know the name of that place? And I might ask the people on the floor, who knows a good place? Philippe's, okay. So we get odd questions like that, but it could really be anything. I know one of the most unusual ones that I ever had when I was a call taker many years ago was a lady reporting a snake in the bathtub.
Oh dear.
And that's because her bathroom window was open a little bit, and I guess it came up the ivy, and somehow it ended up in the bathtub. And so she called and was wondering if the city could come and take care of that.
Oh, did you refer to 911 or did you go get this? Oh my gosh.
I think we did contact Animal Services to see if they would handle it, and then they gave advice on what to do. So,
right, right. There are some, I thought there was some interesting information on the website itself, just talking about announcements like for, I don't know, was it a class action suit or something like that. There's also just general information that is available right on the home page when you pop up. So I imagine that that's a good resource for people who maybe don't have an issue at the moment, but just kind of want to see what the lay of the land is right now.
that's right. So those same feeds that are available on the mobile app are also available at the bottom of the web page, so you can look there for information. And using the search box at the very top of the app, you can put in keywords, like I said, like permits or homeless resources or things like that, and various knowledge-based articles will pop up and give you information on what's available. So you can sort of browse through them and see what you might be interested in. So you can learn a lot just by looking through the knowledge base or those social media feeds too.
And if you're seeking permits and that kind of thing, you know, are there permits, I mean, are there links to the building? Or is it actually there's templates for permits up there?
Yeah, actually about 30% of the work that 311 does relates to building and safety. We have a special agreement with them, and so we front end a lot of their calls. But we do take requests about property violations, you know, if the neighbor doesn't upkeep their yard or whatever. And we also help make appointments for building permit inspections, because when you get a building permit and then you do the work, the inspectors have to come out and check off to make sure that you've done it correctly. So we help a lot with building and safety on those types of things. And but if you look up permits, you'll find that there's a variety of permits. There's building permits. There's also like street opening permit. If let's say your sewer line is blocked and you need to cut a hole in the street to get out to the sewer, you have to get a permit to be able to do that. There's permits for if the city tree out there, if you'd like it to be trimmed and it's not your time as far as the grid cycle, remember I mentioned that,
right,
then you can actually get a no-fee permit to trim the tree yourself.
Oh.
So there's a lot of different things you can do, and there's a lot of things that require permits. So just starting there at MyLA 311 will give you some idea of what you're looking for. And yes, when you click on the articles, there are links to the department websites where the details are with more information.
It's really nice that people take ownership so that they don't have to sit around and wait for some, you know, nameless, faceless government entity to do something. They can take ownership and then ask this wonderful government entity to assist.
That's right.
All right, so we mentioned it earlier, but let's go ahead and be very clear. If people want more information, or people want to download the app, or people just want to investigate further, the best way for them to do that.
Regarding the mobile app, the best thing to do is to go to your local app store and type in MyLA 311, like one word, and you'll find the app. If you'd like to use the website, it's myla311.lacity.org. The main city website is actually lacity.org, so just by putting MyLA311 in front of that with the dot is an easy way to get there. From the city website, you can also, there's a button on the main city website to get there. And calling 311 or emailing 311@lacity.org. We're even on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at MyLA311. We've tried to make it as easy as we can.
Well, it's absolutely fascinating. I really appreciate all of this information, Donna, and I really enjoyed our chat.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share about 311. I think it's a great community service, and everybody should use it.
I agree. And that's a wrap on this LA Currents.